Welcome to Global Trends. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. Let's talk about gold. The shiny metal we've all agreed is priceless. For centuries, gold has been the ultimate symbol of wealth, power, and security. It's the foundation of trust between nations, a tangible asset that transcends borders and currencies. When countries want to show their financial strength, they point to their gold reserves. But what happens when that gold is sitting thousands of miles away in someone else's vault? Right now, Germany and Italy want $245 billion worth of their gold back from the Federal Reserve in New York. That's not just a number, it's a staggering amount of wealth, representing decades of savings, security, and national pride, all stored beneath the streets of Manhattan. This isn't a routine request, it's a diplomatic standoff shaking the global economy. The world's financial system is built on trust, and right now that trust is being tested in a very public way. Germany still has 1,200 metric tons, over a third of its reserves, in Manhattan. Italy, even more. These aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet, they're physical gold bars, each one stamped and numbered, locked away in a foreign land. For decades, this was smart post-war planning. After World War II, Europe's leaders wanted their gold safe from Soviet threats and political instability. The US, with its mighty economy and secure vaults, seemed like the perfect guardian. But now, Berlin and Rome see the US less as a trusted friend, more as a risky custodian. Political tensions, shifting alliances, and fears of sanctions or asset freezes have changed the equation. The White House's reaction? Outrage. American officials see this as a challenge to their credibility and a potential blow to the dollar's dominance. President Trump reportedly saw this as a direct threat to America's financial dominance. He's not alone. Many in Washington worry that if countries start pulling their gold, others might follow, triggering a domino effect. But it's more than logistics, it's a vote of no confidence in the US as the world's financial anchor. If the world's gold holders don't trust America, what does that mean for the future of global finance? Germany and Italy are saying, "We want our gold back, now." Their message is clear. Control over national assets matters more than ever. This could unravel decades of financial cooperation, all because trust in the US is fading. The alliances that once seemed unbreakable are now under strain, and old agreements are being questioned. And with gold prices at record highs, the stakes have never been greater. Every ounce is worth more than ever, making the tug-of-war even more intense. As the metal peaks in value, its owners are losing faith in its American guardian. The fear isn't just about theft or loss, it's about political leverage and the power to control your own destiny. It's a perfect storm of political anxiety and economic nationalism. Across Europe, leaders and citizens alike are asking, if we can't trust the US with our gold, what else is at risk? The Germans and Italians want their gold at home, where they can see it, count it, and trust it's safe. In a world where trust is in short supply, sometimes the only thing that feels secure is holding your own gold, on your own soil. Why did Germany and Italy, along with other European nations, decide to stash their gold reserves in New York in the first place? The answer lies in a mix of fear, strategy, and trust that shaped the post-war world. After World War II, Europe was left devastated and deeply anxious about the future. The threat of Soviet invasion loomed large over the continent, especially as the Iron Curtain descended and Soviet tanks rolled into Eastern Europe. For European governments, keeping their gold in the United States was the ultimate insurance policy. If the Soviets ever advanced further west, at least their national wealth would be safe, far from the reach of any invader. There was another reason too. The post-war global economy was built on the US dollar, which was directly convertible to gold. This made New York the beating heart of international finance. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York quickly became the world's financial hub, a fortress of stability in a turbulent era. It wasn't just a bank, it was a symbol of American economic power and reliability. Settling accounts between nations became surprisingly simple. Instead of shipping gold across oceans, central banks could just move gold bars from one locker to another, all within the same ultra-secure vault. Trust in America was absolute. European leaders saw the US as a steadfast ally, a country that had helped liberate them, and now protected their wealth. The Federal Reserve was viewed as above politics, a neutral guardian of the world's gold. The US itself was seen as the ultimate stabilizer in a fragile world order. For decades, Europeans barely gave their gold abroad a second thought. It was safe, accounted for, and accessible if ever needed. But then, the world changed. The Cold War ended, the Berlin Wall fell, and the Soviet threat that had haunted Europe for so long simply vanished. Yet, the gold stayed put in New York. Decades of habit and the convenience of the old system kept it there, even as the original reasons faded into history. Meanwhile, the world's economic center of gravity began to shift. New powers like China, India, and the Gulf states emerged, and global finance became more multipolar. The old arrangement, Europe's gold in New York, started to look outdated. International summits now featured new faces, and the financial world was no longer dominated by just a few Western capitals. What once seemed prudent now feels risky. Political tensions, economic crises, and shifting alliances have made countries rethink where their gold truly belongs. The comfort of the past is gone, replaced by 21st century uncertainty. Nations are asking new questions about sovereignty, security, and trust. Storing gold abroad is no longer a given, it's a question mark, a debate that reflects a world in flux and a future that's anything but certain. So what changed? In a word, Trump. His America First policies and trade wars made Europe nervous about their assets in the US. Trump's attacks on the Fed raised fears he might use foreign gold as a bargaining chip. European leaders now see the Fed's vault as a potential tool of US foreign policy, not a neutral safe. German and Italian officials openly worry their gold could be frozen or seized in a dispute. The trust that lasted 70 years has been shattered by one administration's unpredictability. For Europe, the safest place for their gold is now at home. The push to bring gold home isn't just a government move, it's a public campaign. In Germany, politicians like Fabio De Masi have made gold repatriation a mainstream issue. In Italy, commentators warn that leaving gold in the US is dangerous for national interests. The argument is simple. In a risky world, why trust your wealth to someone else? The movement taps into national pride and a desire for transparency. Financial sovereignty is now seen as essential to political sovereignty. As US politics grow more turbulent, calls to bring gold home are only getting louder. Germany and Italy's demands to bring their gold reserves home are part of a much larger global movement, one that's quietly reshaping the world's financial order. This movement is called de-dollarization, and it's gaining momentum as more countries question the risks of relying so heavily on the US dollar. For nearly a century, the US dollar has been the backbone of global finance. It's been the world's reserve currency, used in everything from international trade to central bank reserves, giving America enormous influence over the global economy. But now, from Europe to Asia, countries are taking steps to reduce their dependence on the dollar, and, by extension, on the United States itself. This isn't just about economics, it's about sovereignty and security. The US has often used its financial power to impose sanctions, freezing assets, and cutting off access to the dollar system. Even America's allies have started to worry that they could be next, feeling increasingly vulnerable to US policy decisions. In response, central banks from China to Turkey are buying up gold and diversifying their reserves, seeking assets that are beyond the reach of any single government. Gold is seen as a truly neutral asset, free from counterparty risk, immune to political pressure, and not tied to any one country's fortunes. According to a 2025 World Gold Council survey, a record number of central banks are not only increasing their gold holdings, but also choosing to store more of it within their own borders, rather than trusting foreign vaults. Even smaller nations like El Salvador are joining this trend, buying gold and bringing it home as a way to assert their independence and protect their wealth. The message is clear: trust in the old system is fading, and countries want direct control over their own assets, rather than leaving them at the mercy of foreign powers. Germany and Italy's demands are just the most visible sign of a much broader global shift, one that could reshape the balance of power in international finance for years to come. This isn't Germany's first gold repatriation. Between 2013 and 2017 they brought back hundreds of tons, but got newly cast bars, not their originals. That sparked conspiracy theories. Was the gold really there, or had it been used elsewhere? Now Germany and Italy want proof, their gold, fully accounted for. Meanwhile, Americans are demanding an audit of their own reserves. The US hasn't had a full independent audit in over 60 years. New legislation calls for a comprehensive inventory and purity test. Pressure is mounting on the US to prove the gold is real, both for itself and its allies. So, what does this all mean? In the short term, it's a logistical and diplomatic headache. But long term, it's a crack in the foundation of transatlantic trust. The era of unquestioned American financial leadership is ending. The push for gold repatriation and U.S. audits reflects a global crisis of faith. If more countries demand their gold, it could trigger a run on the Fed and accelerate a shift to a multipolar financial system. The world is hedging its bets, diversifying away from the dollar, and bringing assets home. This isn't just financial, it's geopolitical. Germany and Italy's demands are a clear sign. Trust must be earned, not assumed. The golden age of American dominance may be over,